2, drink water. Don't drink and drive.
Game over.
Take it light. Okay.
Now you're more fluent.
He's got 3.
Up, Bears.
So this is really good right here. Absolutely. Let's do it.
Hey, you know what? They asked Kobe once what he thinks Ben Simmons should do about his jumper, and you know what he said?
No.
Get rid of it. Start over. Start from the very beginning.
Get rid of it.
Get rid of it. What's up, y'all? It's August 5th, 2024. We're the HoopStorians. Well, we got the honorary HoopStorian. This dude over here, Fluent. I'm Tony Styles. Let's get into this day in NBA history real quick. August 5th, 1963. Patrick Ewing was born in Kingston, Jamaica. I got a question for you, Fluent. One, where would you say Ewing ranks all time? And then also, where does he rank in centers? And then two, do you run into a lot of people that are surprised he's Jamaican? Because I run into that all the time. Most people don't know he's from there.
All time top 50 centers, top 15. And yes, I knew he was from Jamaica and not Jamaica Queens. Actually, Kingston, Jamaica, which is why I said he shouldn't have played on Team USA. Nor should Hakeem Olajuwon, nor should Joel Embiid. Yeah, I think Team USA has too many players, but that's a whole different conversation.
Yeah. Let's keep it real quick and moving. That's this day in NBA history.
Was he born August 5th or August 6th?
August 5th, 1963.
But today's August 6th.
Oh, I'm sorry. August 6th, 1963. I'm sorry. I was wrong on it. August 6th, 1963.
Otherwise, you got to get a new. All right. Did anything else happen on August 6th? No.
There's one other thing that happened on August 6th, 1963, but I don't remember it off the top of my head. It was no. You're right. It is August 5th. He was born in He was born in then. So we'll have to do is we'll switch it up. Let's go with this. Let's see what happened August 6th. The Sixers changed their name back in 62 from the Nationals to the 76ers. And that happened August 6th, 1962.
All right. That was a good move.
Yeah. Do you like them more as the Nationals or do you like them more as the 76ers?
Oh, no. The 76ers. The Wizards should be the Nationals.
Why?
Although your baseball team is called the Washington Nationals because that's the capital of the country.
Yeah, but I mean, the original capital of the country was Philadelphia.
But not anymore.
Right, but it's still the original, right? Like the copy never takes over the original.
Lakers are called the Lakers. How many lakes in LA?
None, but could you see them being anything else?
If they move from Minneapolis and change their names to like the Los Angeles Earthquakes or something, we would just have grown accustomed to it. Hopefully not the earthquake.
Well, that's my whole point. I think you're used to hearing the 76ers over the Nationals, and that's why you like the 76ers better.
Maybe. Yeah, maybe. I just don't like the Nationals. I don't like that name for any sports team.
So you don't like it for the baseball team either?
Nah. I don't like it.
Well, what do you like?
That's not much. That's this day in NBA history.
That is this day in NBA history. What happened? I was going to ask you, where do you think Greece? How good do you think Greece's national team is this year?
They're garbage.
They were good in 06. That's the last year I really remember them being good.
Thankfully, Giannis is keeping them afloat, but yeah, they're not good. They're not good. Apparently, neither is Canada because they looked horrible against France today. But
just is what it is. So you want to get into this Rudy T interview?
Part 2.
Yeah, part 2. Did you learn anything from part 1?
I learned a lot from part 1. I really thought it was cool. The way that you broke it up, because you kind of did his playing career, which a lot of people don't know, that right, he had such a good playing career. He was drafted really high, and if it wasn't for that punch, I think he has a very different career. But they retired his number as a player.
Right.
So he was good. The running hook shot thing I thought was quite interesting. Because I run a basketball camp, so so today when I went in, yesterday was a holiday. Was yesterday a holiday in the U.S.?
No.
Oh, okay. So yesterday was a holiday in Canada. So today was the first day of this week. It's just a civic holiday. I think it's just a made up one to give people a day off in August.
We have one of those next. We have Labor Day next month, so we have that.
Everybody has Labor Day in September. No, but this is Labor Day's not. It's not made up. It's for the laborers.
Well, I just couldn't see like in the Congo them having like Labor Day, or in Nigeria. Like I can't see in China them having Labor Day.
Yeah, no, probably not in China. So anyway, so I got into the gym today and I was trying that kind of sweeping hook off the bank. That's a tough shot.
Oh shit.
That is a tough shot to make. So the fact that he was making that and that was like his thing, I thought that was pretty cool. But yeah, so I learned a lot about, and so I'm very excited to see now because his coaching, because really that's how we know Rudy T, right? We know him. Never underestimate the heart of a champion. Like that's the Rudy T we know. So yeah, I'm excited to see this part.
Well, I just want to let you know I have an awesome story about Rudy T coming up. It's in there, but I mean I can give you a little sense. Basically, him and Charles Barkley's wife were drinking at the bar before one of their playoffs games. And Barkley was down at another bar partying with his friends, and he didn't even know it was Barkley's wife till afterwards.
Uh-oh. Barkley.
I mean, it's not like nothing salacious. Just they were just happened to be hanging out, partying at the bar. You know what I mean?
Charles Barkley threw me out twice in one day, right?
No, what happened?
We were in Phoenix. My basketball team was playing a tournament at Chaparral.
What year is this? Yeah, Chaparral High School, Scottsdale.
I want to say 1992. I want to say 92 because Paul Westphal had just gotten fired and he was coaching his son.
Well, that's 96 then.
No, it was not. Definitely not 96. I was way done.
Hey, well, I'm saying Paul Westphal just got fired. Paul Westphal got fired going 14-19 in the 96 season. And then that's when Cotton Fitzsimmons took over.
No, then maybe he wasn't coaching. Was he coaching them in 92?
He just got hired to be the coach in 92, 93 because Fitzsimmons stepped down. Westphal got up. So 92, 93. And then Barkley got here in June of 92, July, August. I don't know.
For sure. It was 92, no later than 93 because I was out of high school before then or after then. So it couldn't have been 96. Either way, Paul Westphal's son was on that team. Daughter was a cheerleader. Don't ask me how I know that. So we were at Chaparral High School playing a game. We went to I believe it was called America Airlines Arena back in those days. America West Arena. It was Suns.
We also call it around here that.
Do you still call it that? Okay.
I mean, that's the original. That's what it was for the longest.
I still call where the Toronto Blue Jays play the Sky Dome. So that's forever the name. Yeah.
I didn't know it was changed.
What?
I didn't know it was changed. I thought they played at the Sky Dome too, because as a kid, that's what I was used when they were winning the World Series against the Phillies. That shit.
Now it's the Rogers Center.
See, I didn't.
No one knows. That's why the naming things, when people paid those billions of dollars for the naming rights, I'm like, I don't know that it's worth it. But anyways, so Magic versus Suns, Shaquille O'Neal. It was Shaquille O'Neal's rookie season. So I got to say it was
92-93 season.
1993. And we get to practice on the court, which was really cool. We sit up in the stands. Shaq comes over. I always tell Shaq this story when we talk to him. Like, he had this big gold 49ers jacket on, and he came up and said, "What's up?" to all of us. And I think all of us realized we weren't going to be NBA players when we saw how big, like, I shook his hand and his fingertips came to here. Like, I'm 15, 16 years old or whatever. And I'm like, there's no way I'm playing in a league against a dude like that. And when I tell him the story, he goes, yeah, I know. I told him, stop the whole team from wanting to play in the NBA. He goes, I know you did. And so we meet Shaq, and then the guy comes over and says, hey, none of the Suns are here yet. I can take some of you. And he took a group of maybe 6 or 7 of us. He goes, I'll take you through and walk you through the locker room. And I wish I would have still had those pictures. I probably shouldn't have taken them, but we walked in through the Phoenix Suns locker room. I had a picture of his locker. I had a picture of, I want to say, like KJ. I took as many pictures as I can. And as we're in there, the guy who kind of brought us on to kind of tour the locker room goes, okay, everybody out. Someone's coming. We got to go. Well, it turns out it was Chuck, and he had heard that there was people in the locker room, and he was losing his mind, MFing us to high heaven. And as I'm walking out, he's walking in, which is why I tell everybody he's no 6'6", no chance, no way, no how. I'm 6'3", and we were eye to eye. So he's maybe 6'4" tops. Anyways, so he everybody get out of here. He's losing his mind. So we get thrown out of the locker room because of Charles Barkley. Fast forward to that night, a few of us who look older sneak into a bar.
Mm-hmm.
we happened, and everybody keeps telling me it must have been Marley's. I don't remember the name, but Chuck was there drinking, and he looked over and recognized a couple of us, said something to somebody, and they throw us out. And I kept asking one, and he goes, "Barkley recognized you guys," and he said, "You guys are a high school basketball team." I was like, son of a... So in one day, I got thrown out of the Suns locker room and out of a bar because of Charles Barkley.
Well, hey, you want to know something? There is a club. I won't say its name because I won't get in trouble or whatever. But and actually, I posted it on I'll post it on my TikTok again tonight for whoever wants to see it. I ran into Devin Booker at a bar, and at the time, Devin Booker was 20. And I'll put the picture up on my TikTok. I got my TikTok in the link. I think I do. It's Tony Styles and Friends at TikTok for those who want to see it. And I'll post in the link. But anyways, I chopped it at the bar when Devin Booker was 20 in the bar. For 45 minutes, me and him sat and talked about it. So depending if you got the right stroke or clout, you can be in a bar underage. You just got to be the right person. I also want to say that Barkley at the Final Four. I was at the Final Four. I asked him if he wanted to do the show, and he looked at me and he said, "Look, man, I'm just trying to get drunk with my friends," and walked off.
Listen, if it wasn't for him, we got into the bar. It was staying in the bar that was a problem. All right. So Rudy T coming up right now.
I wanted to ask you, when you were scouting, are you the one that scouted Hakeem and Ralph? And then what were the decisions to go with Hakeem over Jordan as well?
Yeah, first of all, I was just a scout then. I wasn't the general manager or anything like that. And the Hakeem deal was, there's no way in the world they could have passed that up. Being in Houston, that would have been crazy. You know what I mean?
Also learning from Moses. That's what got him better. He would work out with Moses. Yeah. And that's how he got better when he first got here from Nigeria.
Yeah, absolutely. And well, I did not see eye to eye, even though I love Rodney McCray as a person. We took Ralph Sampson, and I thought Rodney McCray was at the end of the first round. And Coach Fitch said, no, he's the third guy. I said, God, he doesn't have those kind of skills. There was Dale Ellis. There were some other guys out there that I really liked. I really liked Dale Ellis. And they went with him. They went with Rodney.
I think Rodney McCray's more of a fifth guy on a title team, somewhere around there. I think he's in your starting line. He could be in your starting lineup, but I just don't think he's a third guy. Let's talk about those early Houston years when you moved up into assistant coaching. You guys made the 86 finals. Looked like you guys had a bright future. Then what happened? Sampson gets injured. Andrew Wiggins' dad is on the team. You lose him to a suspension to drugs. He's your starting two guard. And then you lose your backup two guard too. Can we talk about the way, because I argue this all the time, and I've told you this before, 1995 Hakeem is the best player I've ever seen. It's better than 93 Jordan that I saw, 2000. 95 Hakeem is the best. And when people now they're doing their rankings for Hakeem, they're like, well, he had those really good, couple years in the mid-90s, but what did he do with the rest of his career? I'm like, you have no idea. I did a deep dive on this. Hakeem was the 8th best player in the league his rookie year. I will argue that to the death. I can't see him. And he was a top 10 player for 13 years. How come you guys could never put a team around him where we could maximize his success? Because I would think people would want to play with a guy like that, where he saves you on defense. You know what I mean? He's not egotistical in that manner. How come? What happened all those years, where you guys had the early success and you guys could just never get a team around him for so long?
Spacing. They didn't space the floor right. We changed the spacing, and we made it easy for him to figure out double teams. You can't, if you cut a guy through, that guy would get buried in there and come back, and he didn't see him, and then you weren't getting to your spots quick enough. So we had different ways to space up, and what we did, and then the league started adapting to it, doing it also. If they were going to come down quickly, the guy who threw it in went straight to the strong side corner, all the way down in the corner. The next man came all the way to the sideline So he's here. If the double team is coming to his top side, he still has a pass in that corner.
Right.
And if that's not there, there's a guy here. And if they're both covered, he could just throw the ball over his head because there's got to be a guy on the other side. And
Right.
we really worked on that. The rules were good for that kind of a game because of the illegal defensive rules and all that. But even
Right.
with the rules being good for it, we worked every single day on passing the ball to the post, how to throw it in, how sharp to throw it in, where to throw it. And a lot of people don't take that much time. They think that's, why are we doing this? And at times our players got sick of it, but I say, hey, we're going to keep doing it. And if they do different defenses, a different angle and all that. And I thought that was the secret to our success. And then getting good players who could make those shots, those 3-point shots.
Well, that's the thing. When you took over from Don Chaney midway through the 92 season, like I said, you guys, was it 91 or 92 that you missed the playoffs? Because I know you missed the playoffs in one of those years, either 91 or 92. I don't remember which year it was.
Yeah, that was the 92, 93, yeah.
No, 92, 93 is your first full season.
That was my interim.
91, 92 is your year that you came in. And then 93, actually what's funny is we saw you guys coming. You guys just couldn't beat Seattle. You guys started off in Japan in 93. You lost both games there. And then you guys were toiling around, and you guys were kind of like middling. And I remember at the end last, 35 games, you guys go 28-7. You guys have that 15-game run. You guys lose in game 7. And then you start off the next season in that championship year with a 15-game run. Let's talk about this. What made you guys start taking out? It's just the shooters and the passing, or were there some other key factors in that made you guys start going from 45 wins to 55, 58, that area?
Yeah. That next year, about a quarter of the way into the season, we stunk. We were horrible. We were on a 7-game losing streak. We were letting fat guys beat us down the court. Guys that were not known for running. It was just horrible. We didn't get that we had to pay the price defensively. And, I would do things in practice like you can't stab at the ball in the backcourt. And, and then here comes the flood.
Right.
So when we were scrimmaging, if one guy did it, I would make even the guys that benefited from the stab, they all ran. And they were, why? Why do we have to run? We didn't do it because I want you to hate that as much as I hate it, because it's killing us. We got to get back. We got to make them earn it, and then we became a better defensive team. And then we just got to know each other better too. And Akeem was, getting better and better. His passing, you start thinking about when we won the championships, a lot of the big shots were made because he passed it out of a double team. And Sam Cassell in New York at the top of the key, Maxwell made a lot of game winners. It was all because of that in and out game.
Well, I want to talk about the first 3 years, that first three-peat for the Bulls. You guys go 5-1 against the Bulls. You got Akeem blocking Jordan's game winners, so it's not like you just blocked Starks as well. Matter of fact, there's a real cool documentary about Akeem on YouTube. I could send you the link if you'd like to see it, but it's really, really good. And do you think that, because that's always been one of the things, and this goes into my next question, do you guys think that in 93, if you would have made the finals, do you think you could beat the Bulls? That's question one. And then in 95, if somehow the Bulls made it into the finals, how could they possibly beat you? Because they had lost Horace Grant, and like everybody always says, they try to knock you and downgrade you guys for that. Well, he only did it when Jordan was in the league. I always say, well, first off, Jordan was in the league in 95. He averaged 31 points in the second round. They just didn't win. So that's a bullshit ass excuse. Okay. So don't take away anything. I was like, not only that, they were dominating in the regular season. Does that
well,
translate necessarily into the playoffs? Not necessarily. But I think they had an amazing chance because they never had any answer for Elijah One. And if in 95 they made it, they had no front line to stop Elijah One. So my question is back to the original. 93, do you guys think you guys could have beat them in the finals? And then what do you think could possibly
Absolutely.
happen for the
you know, we got to talk, the coaches got to talk to Jordan the first time we went to Phoenix when Charles Barkley was on the team, and we had two surprise guests. We had Michael Jordan and Tiger Woods, and we talked about that. And he says the only team that they were worried about was Houston because they had no answer for Akeem. And the other thing is I tried to prepare our team as much as possible because Tex Winter, that was the first offense I learned in the NBA. He was my coach. And we drilled our guys on not overplaying. If you overplay in the triangle, they get back doors, they get all that. It's a jump shooting offense. And if you keep them on the outside, you got a chance, you know, but if you're up there trying to deny the ball, they're going to fake it. They're going to get a back door and all that. So we didn't give up a lot of cheap baskets. And then Akeem was so powerful, but then we also had Vernon Maxwell, and he agitated Michael Jordan so much that he knocked some of his efficiency down. And you
guys also had young Robert Horry who could move and defend. Like, people don't understand how good young Robert Horry as a defender really was as well.
Yeah, he was so versatile with his length, and he's a smart player and, you know, a big asset for us.
Let's talk about the I want to talk about the 95 run because I think it's such polarity. Like in 94, that's one of the worst rosters ever to win a title. If you look at the numbers, the talent level, what was accomplished. One thing that always kills me about Kenny Smith is whenever he's talking shit to Charles Barkley about winning the titles, you know, I'm like, well, Kenny, you averaged 7-5 in the finals and like 5-3 in the finals. So like, it's crazy to be like, you know, like you're talking that much shit the way you do. And then in 95, the run that you guys did, because I always use that, to me, 95 is the greatest team ever. Nobody ever accomplished what they did. Nobody ever beat the top four teams. They beat MVPs at every single level in the first round, second round, third round. They were all NBA level MVPs at the same time. Did you guys think you had a chance going into that? That you guys were really going to win that? Like, did you have the delusional confidence, or did you think, hey, we've had a real shitty season, these teams are playing really well, or like, what was your guys' mindset going into that run?
Well, I'll tell you what my mindset was, and the coaching staff, we kept preaching, we can be better than we were last year, because basically we're a one-man team. We scored off of Akeem, but we had to go through him to create the situations. And the New York series was such a brutal series that we said we got to get another offense, what I call a primary offensive player, that you give him the ball, he can, just by looking at things, the defense has got to move, you know,
right.
And Clyde was that kind of a guy. You know, but what happened is we had two guys out, Akeem and Maxwell, out with bleeding ulcers from their medications. Horry was hurt for a while, and we kept telling the guys, we can be better than we were last year. They thought it was just a bunch of bull. The other thing that we found out later is that our players were upset because we brought in Clyde, and he affected, you know, at least 3 positions. And he was going to get a lot of minutes, and he was taking minutes from a lot of these guys. We're not happy about that, you know, so they messed up our team and all that. And we kept saying, man, we could be way better, you know, so we did not have a healthy team till the first game of the playoffs. None of those guys had all played together. Somebody would, Ori would be okay. Then he went on the IR. Then this guy would come back. When we played that first series, that was the first time they were together. I can't remember exactly who we played first that year.
Played the Jazz. You lost the first 2 games. You lost the first 2 games. You came back, won the next 3. Won Game 5 in Salt Lake City in a do or die.
Yeah. It was amazing. It was absolutely amazing how they finally saw, we can beat these guys, And Akeem again was just so amazing in that series. But that was a damn tough team to beat. When they talk about, championship teams, if you're going through Malone and Stockton and, both years, and same thing with Phoenix, with their, they had a great chemistry on that team. I'm proud of those accomplishments.
Yeah, and then same thing with, beating the Spurs, beating the Magic. Can you talk about, I don't know if you want to, but can you tell us the story about you at the bar the night before the game in Phoenix?
Which one was that?
The one where you're hanging out with, the one where you ended up hanging out with Charles Barkley's wife. She was at the bar too.
Yeah, that was funny. So I was friends with the PR person, Julie Fye. She was a girlfriend of the guy who drafted me in the league, Frank Hamlin, at one time, and we were friendly. And she said, "Hey, after the game, if you're, we'll be at the Houston's over there." So I said, "I'll have a couple beers and all that." And she had a friend.
I was just at Houston's a couple of weeks ago.
Huh?
I said I was just at Houston's a couple of weeks ago. You're talking about the one in Scottsdale. Yeah, I was just up there not too long ago.
Yeah. So anyway, we're there. She had a friend, and we're laughing and all this stuff. I had no idea it was Charles' wife. Yeah, I said, now this is a crazy story. If anybody hears this, and he was down the street with his boys, after the game. So that was pretty ironic. So getting through those guys was big, but the biggest one was really the next 2 series. San Antonio, they were a good team. We had a hard time playing those guys, and they were really overconfident, because I think they beat us 4 games. I think we might have played them 5 times, and it might have been
back then it was 5, because we had 27 teams, 5 teams. Yeah, 5 times in the division.
Yeah, and they didn't give us much respect, and we pulled that off. And then
Hakeem took it.
Oh yeah, after the award ceremony, we're thinking, what is Dream thinking right now? That was his award the year before, and he went out and showed what he was thinking.
The David Robinson press conference is legendary. He just didn't know what to do.
Yeah, he says, I've tried. I've played them before. I've had success with them. I couldn't do anything with them. And then the next series with the Magic, they owned us. They just beat our butt, and they were beating us that first game. And, we had a miracle win. That first game,
the tip in by King.
Yeah, but those missed free throws, he makes one of those and we're out of reach, you know. And then, we just hung in there. But our guys, we're going to lose that second game. Our guys had such happy feet after that first one. And, I had to ring the alarm. Man, we got to get this next one. We can't just be happy with one. And every one of those games was very competitive. We swept them, but it wasn't where we dominated them.
No, but I think there was a certain level of, for lack of a better term, it seemed like you broke them after game 1, And I don't know a better way to say it, but it was kind of like when they had a parade for going to the finals, that's kind of like a loser mentality. I've always said this. This is when you know somebody's a real winner. And I'll use LeBron, for example. In 2009, when he hit the game winner in game 2 in the conference finals, and he's jumping up and down and doing all that, I said right then and there, I said, they're going to lose the series. And they go, why? And I go, dude, they're 1-1. They still don't have home court advantage. What is he celebrating about? But when you look at guys like Hakeem, when he hit the tip-in after game 1, he walked off the court. There was no celebration. Game 1, 97 finals, Michael Jordan hits the shot, walks off the court. Larry Bird hits it, bored at the end. Kobe Bryant, I mean, I know they were regular season, but he hit in game winners in 2013. He's bored. Damian Lillard, that's why I loved him. When Damian Lillard hit the game shot in 2014, he's bored with it because when you expect to hit the shot, there's no reason to celebrate. Nobody ever celebrates what's expected. They celebrate the unexpected. That's why you see lottery winners jumping up and down, but you don't see, Jeff Bezos when he gets his $1 billion check jumping up and down because it's to be expected. So if I was there coaching in '95, I would have said, and I'm not saying this is true or whatever, this is just what I would have said to motivate the team. I go, these guys are a bunch of fucking losers. They're celebrating making the finals. We're gonna beat them. That's how I look at it. You know what I mean? You don't celebrate what's expected.
Yeah, you never know. That's a very interesting viewpoint you got there. There's different people do different things.
Well, it's just how I look at it, and whether I'm right, wrong, or whatever, you can take my opinion for what it's worth. It ain't worth shit. But I do want to ask you this because I know we're running out of time. Go ahead.
My feeling on winning championships is that there has to be some hurt, some pain, or some hurt in some of the main players. And by that, I mean that they haven't reached the goal that people might be talking about.
Right.
They've been disappointed or people are disappointed in them and they feel that. I think that helps. It doesn't have to be there, but and I got that theory by reading a book that Riley wrote when he was in LA. And we hated to be around the Lakers or the Celtics when we're at things in the off season because they were always the winners of the conference and all that. And, there's jealousy or whatever, but those guys, they get it their way. But in reality, the Lakers didn't feel that way. They felt that they were owned by the Celtics. And that was the thing that really got them going, that we got to beat these guys to get rid of that dirt, that thing we hate. And even though I've never talked to Hakeem about it, I'm sure that he thought after a while that people had said, he's a great player, but he hasn't won it yet either, I think that kind of helps guys. And then when we get Clyde, he'd been close and hadn't been there. And he was phenomenal for us when he joined us.
Yeah. Well, next time you talk to Hakeem, and I've tried reaching out to him, I haven't been successful, but you let him know that I have spent years studying the game. And like I said, 95 Hakeem would be my number one draft pick if we were drafting an all-time team. And I don't say that lightly. I don't say that I put a lot of research into saying that. I want to talk about real quick the 97 team, why that didn't work out, because Hakeem completely was the best player in that series, I believe, why that didn't work out. And I want to talk about coaching 2000 Olympics basketball.
Okay, what was the first question? You broke up a little bit.
Why didn't the 97 team work out? Because I looked at you guys. I thought you guys had a great chance to beat the Bulls that year. What do you think stopped you from beating the Jazz? Because I think Hakeem was the best player in that series from the eye test, and the numbers back it up as well.
Charles got hurt.
Well, I know he played that bad defense on that last play.
Yeah. You know what? I didn't even watch that play. I never even looked at it.
Oh, wow.
We shot the ball too soon. And that was the point of emphasis we had a last second shot that we shot too soon. I'd seen Stockton make desperation shots so many times. He was great at it. And we told them all those things, and I don't even know who did what or, at the end of that game. I just heard the disappointment as I turned my head. I didn't even look at it. And, but, shooting that ball too soon we just shouldn't have done that. You're either going to win it or tie at the end of the clock.
And then tell me about your experience in the 2000 Olympics. Did you like coaching the team? And then talk about the obviously the most iconic moment, the Vince Carter dunk.
Yeah. Well, let me tell you, it is one of the greatest honors you can have as a player and a coach to represent your country. I still remember the day walking down the ramp into the stadium, the first day. And we're way at the back of the line. So we start going, and I'm next to Alonzo Mourning, and he grabs his heart. He says, "Oh man, you feel that? It was amazing. You're like walking on air." And I actually felt like I was on a conveyor belt. I didn't know how the hell I was moving because I couldn't feel my legs. And, and we're going USA, USA, and tremendous, So, what was crazy about it, preparing for that game, we were in, we were locked in to our hotel. We could not go out and practice because there was the protesters, because they had the economic forum there. And so we says, well, they had blocked the traffic outlet. So we said, let's take a boat. Well, we had guys that don't like boats. They won't get on a boat.
I'm one of those guys.
Yeah. So fears are fears. You got to respect everybody's different, So we didn't do it. But, there's nothing like it to be out there and representing your country. And, we had a game. Oh, and the other thing is Alonzo Mourning, his wife was having a baby. He left. First of all, you're dealing with jet lag. I remember I was giving the opening speech to the team. I couldn't stand up. I was so dizzy from jet lag that I did it sitting. We were sitting around. And, what I told them is they think you guys are not even the B team. They think you're the C team. That's because we didn't have we didn't have Shaq, Kobe.
Shaq wasn't there, yeah.
Yeah. And I just threw out there that basketball is our game and we have to prove it to them. Prove to the world that it's our game. We're the best players in the world. And so our guys, I think they felt motivated, but after that, you just got to go and you got to play and you've got to be smart and, figure out different things defensively. So, we have an unbelievable match against Lithuania.
I remember that game. I thought y'all guys were going to get beat.
Oh, yeah, exactly. So it's a 1-point game with a minute to go, and we foul a 3-point shooter. And I figured, my life passed before my eyes right there. I could see my funeral and somebody talking, God, he was a good guy, good father, good friend, but that dummy was the first guy to lose with the pros. And the guys, all the players felt that too. Nobody wanted to be the first pro team to lose. And they didn't talk about it, but it was there. And what was amazing is we won that game scrapping on the floor. The guy that fouled the guy, McDice, he makes a hustle play and puts the ball in on an offensive rebound. And man, it was just amazing. And the thing is, the pressure is so much that I didn't feel like when we won the last game, I didn't feel joy. All I felt was relief, because you're in a situation where you're expected to win. And when I saw a glimmer of a tear in the coach from Purdue, I love him, Coach Katie. I turned to Coach Katie and I saw a little bit of a joyous tear in his eye. It hit me, that we won it. But it's usually just, this is a tough assignment. Everybody's after you. And we've seen Hall of Fame coaches go down in the last couple, international series.
Larry Brown after you.
Yeah. I was surprised that he went in with that team not having shooters, and they just threw some zones on them. And what was wrong? They changed the system after that. Jerry Colangelo came in and made it more of a real team. The coach has got a say in who he wants and who he wants to use. So when I was there, you just get a phone call. They said, this is the committee, and we're going to pick the team. So they had a roster there. We didn't have a small forward on the team. So I get about a minute to talk about what I would like. And these other guys are basketball people around the country. And I say, I want Vince Carter on this team.
Right.
They don't vote Vince Carter on the team. These guys don't have to go there. I couldn't believe it. So
After his 2000 season was amazing.
Yeah. So anyway, somebody gets hurt and they can't go, and we're playing up in Toronto, and I go and I tell them, hey, listen, man, you're one of my number one guys I want on this team. And, he was, man, okay. He said, I don't know why I wasn't on that. I says, it wasn't because of me, man. I want you on this team. And then he makes that unbelievable move on the Frenchman. And I always remember Jason, we're both up. Jason Kidd's next to me and says, we were here when this happened. They'll be talking about this for, decades. It was an amazing play.
And they still are. 25-year. A lot of people think it's the greatest dunk. I want to talk about your time in LA real quick. If anybody wants to know about your coaching prowess, you guys went 24-19 in 05 when you were a coach, and then they went 10-29 without you. What happened with the season? What was the change? I know you cited exhaustion, and you had been hospitalized a few times for exhaustion before with coaching and all that. Tell me about your time in LA, your brief time, coaching Kobe, and what that experience was like.
Yeah. Well, the first time I had to leave basketball was because of cancer. I had bladder cancer, and I had to give up the Rocket. I didn't have to. I just thought it was best to give it up. And I went through different series of treatments, which were no fun. They didn't get in on the first treatment. So I had to wait like 6 weeks, and I had to go through it again. And it was brutal. And thank God they said, it's gone. for now it's gone, but this is the kind of cancer that does come back. So I was just happy to be alive and all that. And I was doing some scouting for the Rockets. And all of a sudden, some of the guys from the Lakers come up to me and said, would you be interested? And I was, I thought about it. Hell yeah. Yeah, I'd be interested. And, I go in and have an interview with Dr. Buss, and it went well. They just said, Phil's not coming back. Kobe won't. They had their problems. And he says, and don't even think about Shaq. Shaq, Kobe will leave if Shaq comes back. So then I had to go talk to Kobe and see how he felt about things. And he was fine. And, then they made a trade. They brought in the guys from Miami.
Odom, Butler, Grant. And that's a cool trio. Caron Butler, Lamar Odom, and Kobe Bryant.
Yeah. And, we did okay, but we had some injuries. But I was feeling the stress again. And I thought that after beating cancer that I wouldn't feel stress. I had quit all my vices. I had quit smoking. I quit drinking and all that stuff. So I was pretty naked to the stress. And I started feeling weak and all that. And I says, is it worth it? Is it really worth it to do this? And I just went in and I said, hey, I made a mistake. I made a mistake. I would have been fine if they said, boom, you don't get anything and all that, but they were more than fair. I stayed on there for 15 years being a consultant. And, I thought it was the right thing at that time. And hopefully live happily ever after.
No, and I appreciate that. Real quick, this is the last question before we go. I just want to know, do you got any Kobe stories you can share with us? You know what I mean? That might be his legendary workout or some funny stuff. And same goes with Hakeem. And that's the last ones I got for you.
Well, Kobe is the only player that ever called me at home and wanted to talk basketball, in the summer. Hey, coach,
right.
What are we going to be, what's it going to be like and all that? And I said, really, I will design things where you want the ball in your strength. I don't have, this is going to be the same play for the next 15 years, like some of these systems, Utah had the same system from Frank Layton all the way through all the Jerry Sloans, all the same plays.
Modest motion.
Yeah. Yep. Exactly. And I will take things that work, a high, that's the one thing about the triangle offense. There is not a high pick and roll in the triangle offense. The high pick and roll is the toughest play to guard in the NBA. It's just hard. Somebody's going to be open,
Right.
And anyway, I forgot.
Oh my God, question. Coach, real quick, Coach. I got this because I argue this all the time with people on TikTok Live and I try to. Is screening a skill?
Yeah.
Because I try to argue that you don't understand how much screening means. I start arguing with people how good people are offensively because of their ability to screen, and people don't want to listen to me.
Yeah. Well, here's the thing. I love basketball, and basketball takes on a life of its own. What I really don't like about basketball now is there really aren't many plays. It's dribble, pick and roll, or dribble ISO. There are picks, but it's the big guy picking on the little guy. I love back picks, wing picks, slipping picks, all those kind of things. That's the fun part of basketball to me. And, I talked to an NBA coach and I said, hey, do you guys still have shoot-arounds and all that? He says, we don't need them. We know they're just going to be doing these two things and we have our way of playing it. So we don't even do that, And before you had to, everybody had 5 at least pet plays and then, a couple last second plays.
No, well, like I said, Coach, thanks for your time. I'd love to have you back on sometime, talk about the current state of the game and all that. If you ever want to, that would be great. And real quick before we go, Hakeem or Kobe, who do you got? Who's better?
I got to go with my man Hakeem. We had success. I was only with Kobe for a half a year. I respect him. Yeah. He was phenomenal. But Dream, we've been through the trenches and all that, the ups and the downs. And, without his cooperation and his hard work, you wouldn't be calling me up and wanting to talk to me. I wouldn't be in the Hall of Fame or any of those things. It was working with him that got me.
I still want to talk to you. Anybody with 5 All-Stars I want to talk to.
Well, thank you, man. I enjoyed it.
I enjoyed it too. Thank you so much.
All right.
How are you going to ask him Kobe or Hakeem? You know what the answer is going to be.
Well, anybody with any sanity already knows the answer. Like who in their right mind is taking a 2-guard over a center?
That's like asking me Magic or Bird. I'm a Lakers fan. You know who I'm picking.
No, I'm looking for unbiased opinions, though. No, I don't think he has it. I'll tell you what. This is why I like Rudy T's opinion so much, okay? And I value his so much over a lot of other people because he was a 5-time All-Star as a player, okay? So that means he understood how to play the game, right? From a player's perspective. Okay, he had a high level of understanding that. 100%. Then he won 2 titles as a coach, so he understands how to coach the game as well. Because we've seen a lot of times that you can play the game and you really don't understand shit else about the game.
Yeah, you're just athletic and you're able to knock down shots or whatever. Yeah, 100%.
Right. I think Michael Jordan would be a prime example about that. He understands the game, how to play it with his ability, but as far as anything else, doesn't really work that well. Then he moved in after he got done with that. He won 2 titles in the analytics department with it. So he understands the game from the analytics point of it. So he is the only person that has had that type of success at 3 different levels. And that is why I appreciate his opinion more than anybody.
I appreciate his opinion, but I also understand that he said, I have to go with my man Hakeem because we've been through it together. I only coached Kobe for half a season. He still has to live. Hakeem can still call him up tomorrow. Kobe's can't. So, but
I asked him. He said him and Hakeem don't talk that much or whatever. They're older, doing their things and all that. Hakeem's got like hundreds of millions through real estate now, right? He's just killing it in the real estate game.
Oh, I just see him teaching NBA players footwork.
He's killing in the real estate game. I don't know. I tried reaching out to him. I got a hold of his nephew. His nephew said he'd pass along my number, but I haven't heard nothing back from him. But because. Like I said, but I just don't understand how anybody watching, and you were there, you know what I mean? Do you understand why I think Hakeem is the best player I've ever seen in 95?
Listen, the best, easily, I understand. And here's the thing. I believe Michael Jordan is the greatest player of all time. Okay. And this is the best thing that I can say that you'll understand what I'm about to say when I say it. I believe Michael Jordan is the greatest player of all time. I believe that the Houston Rockets, knowing what we know now, still made the right choice in picking Hakeem Olajuwon. Does that make sense?
Absolutely. I don't know if Michael Jordan could have consistently dragged those teams, and nobody wanted to go to Houston. Nobody.
They're so, like you said, a guard versus center. It's still the right draft pick in Hakeem Olajuwon. That's how good Hakeem Olajuwon is, that I still think picking him over the greatest player of all time is the right choice. And people
Right.
are going to not understand that. They're going to be, that makes no sense. You're crazy. No, that find me one basketball guy who won't say that. I'm not talking about fans. I'm talking, find me a basketball person who would say, no, that was still the right draft pick. That would say, no, that's the wrong. I challenge anyone to find a basketball person to say that was wrong. They should have drafted Jordan. You won't find them. You won't find them.
No, I agree, and I try to tell people this all, at the end of the day, because I go on live and I have these Kobe arguments, and we do the Shaq thing and all that, and I go, well, the Shaq is 7 foot and he's this and that, and I go, and that's what I'm trying to tell you, 7 foot and skilled beats 6'6" and skilled, and just why I say in 01, Kobe was the better player than Iverson, he was just a better player because 6'6" and skilled is better than 6 foot and skilled.
Yeah, for sure. You at the end of the day, there's a reason when you look at everyone's top 10 list, everyone's top 20 list, all the statistics, it's typically filled with centers. You do have an advantage in the game of basketball when you're tall, right? So how do you compensate for that? By being more skilled, being more athletic. If you're not more skilled and more athletic, it makes it really, really hard. So if your skill level is even close, the taller guy gets it. So it makes sense. It makes sense.
And it's also just and we can translate another thing like weight classes in fighting sports. For example, Marvin Hagler is my favorite boxer of all time. Okay. I think if he was the exact same size as any fighter ever, he'd beat the shit out of him. Okay. But you put Hagler in the ring with just an average, heavyweight, he's going to get mauled.
Oh, listen, a lot of people will tell you Floyd Mayweather, right, was the greatest defensive, technical, whatever you want to say, boxer ever, undefeated, blah, blah, blah. Put him in the ring with any heavyweight. He's dead. He's dead. Right. And that's, again,
you saw a guy with Logan Paul that was able to take him the distance, who had clearly not as good a boxer, but I'm saying clearly not as good as boxer, but, much more size to combat with. Another one, Shaq versus when he went up against.
I don't know how much I buy those Jake Paul. Right, those Paul.
Okay, I got a better one for you. How about when Shaq boxed De La Hoya and Mosley, and he was just too big they couldn't do anything with it.
Yeah, exactly. Agreed. Yeah, and he's not even a boxer. 100%. Yes, sir. Great interview. It's funny because I was like, John, I don't know if you saw me. I was taking notes, and then there was
I sent you some
from thank you. From 32 minutes to 38 minutes. So in a 6-minute stretch, there was 4. I'm like, oh, I need that. Oh, I need that. They started rapid firing at 32 minutes into the interview. So that was, yes, we're gonna get some of those clips out. But that was amazing. I wish he didn't have to reschedule because I would have loved to have asked him a bunch of stuff. Did you? No, you didn't ask him what I asked you to ask him, did you?
I did ask him. I asked him about the 95 team, and he just answered the 93, and then he didn't answer the 95. But he did tell me that he loved to do it. He'll be back on, So I was thinking I want to do one with him and Dave Severns. Get some coaching perspective.
Oh, cool.
So I wanted to do I want to do an NBA preview, and obviously I don't think we can break down every team. So I just kind of want to maybe do the top 4 in each conference. Who we think the top 4 is going to be, and then what they see, coming about that. So he'll be back on.
We're going to be the 4 teams in the East and the West that are going to have home court advantage.
Yeah, something like that. Or maybe or maybe just 4 teams that it depends how many people we got on, and how many opinions we got. But maybe only the top 4 teams.
I don't know I don't know Nick's schedule, but me, you, Chills, Severns, and Tomjanovich, like a panel.
Yeah.
NBA preview, that would be awesome. Yeah, for sure. Sure.
Yeah, but I'm just saying that's 5 people per 8 teams per minute. You know what I mean? And we got to. So I don't know if that's too many teams. We might go a little bit that because how many teams? I really just kind of do realistic contenders. How many teams do we really see that's got a chance to do this? And
easy in the West. Sorry, it'll be easy in the East. I think the West will be the one that.
I mean, in the East, really, all I see is Boston with a chance. I don't see any team really the Knicks. I think made some good moves, and I think they're going to be better. I don't see them winning the title, But do I think the Knicks could have the 2nd seed by the end of the year?
I think after you do the Celtics, the Knicks, Philadelphia, just because of Embiid and maybe.
The Bucks, and I'll put it this way: and if Giannis is healthy, Giannis is probably one of my favorite players in the league. And he's definitely my favorite superstar player in the league. To be honest with you, I tend to like more I like players that maximize their shit. You know what I mean? So, and I mean, I like role player like Pat Connaughton. You know what I mean? To see where he started out to where he is now, like I just love guys that do that progression. Jared Dudley was another player that I just loved watching. You know what I mean? Where he was, in Charlotte, he wasn't that playable, and then he went from a power forward to a 2 guard, and he was, very effective, for a couple of years and shit. So yeah, that's what I like doing. But yeah, Rudy will be back on. He said he'll be back on. So I really like talking to you. Let me ask you, what do you think was your most interesting takeaway from part 2?
I'm trying to, I have 4 and I'm trying to pick one of them.
Yeah, what's the same before? I mean,
but I loved, it was interesting because I didn't know like the whole Vince Carter thing. Where it's like, it's not my fault you're on the team. Yeah, like I want you on the so it's good that they came to Toronto because they only play. The West Coast teams only come to Toronto once a year, so that was his one and only chance to do it, and he did it. So good for him, and it created one of the most, if not the most, iconic moments in Team USA history. Mm-hmm. The Kobe thing, where he talked about, because you always hear these crazy stories, right? Like he's the only one in the offseason calling me, okay, what are we gonna do? How are we gonna do? Just reiterates Kobe's like sickness with basketball. This one I love because, especially as my season, as you know, I coach youth basketball as it's about to kick off now, and I'm like, we're so worried about plays, and he's like, teams don't run plays anymore. They got like it's like, so maybe am I overthinking it? Am I worried too much about plays? Because here's a guy saying he talks to NBA teams and they don't even run plays anymore. They got 2 or 3 sets, and it's all just read and react off of those 2 or 3 sets. And how he mentioned, the triangle offense. There's always somebody open. It's the most, the best offense out there, but yet we've only seen it work twice. We've only seen it work like really well in its purest form twice. And you had Michael on one of them, Kobe and Shaq, and the others are up. I say Kobe because they played it with Pau Gasol too. Hold on. Oh, excuse me. So I thought that was interesting. And then so those 2 things, I think the triangle and no plays, I think that's the one that I'm going to go back and listen to again, because I'm like, I got to figure that out. Like, if I put in plays, am I step ahead of everybody, or do I dumb it down and let them just do what everybody else?
I got to be honest with you. I can't see where it's going to hinder people to no plays. That's only going to be a bit. Now, you don't have to run them, but still, let's learn them.
Well, I think where it hinders, in theory, is especially with young players or inexperienced players. And when I say young, I mean even NBA players who don't, like we say, they just play. They don't understand the game, right? Like you said that. A lot of great players don't understand the game. They just play. So if they just naturally play and are able to do things, now you put in plays and it's like, well, I need to be here, so I'm going to go there. But if you're watching the game, you're like, no, why'd you go there? You had like a layup if you would have gone there. And like, well, because the play called for me to go there. Mm-hmm. And sometimes that structure hinders their
that's what you read and react
ability. Yeah, it hinders their natural ability. And that's why I find, like, again, I'll relate it to coaching kids, is where I say, hey, you need to do this. And so then that's all they do. And it's like, hey, why'd you do this? Like, did you realize that your man knew you were doing that? So he cheated and you could have just laid up, and they're like, yeah, but you told me to go here.
Well, tell him that. Why don't you explain that? Say, listen, this is the play. And if the man does what he's supposed to do, this is the play. But if he tries to do something, you have a lane, well, then redirect. So, you can break the play if it works out well.
Go here and then react. Like, I don't need a play to say, just go here and then react. What's going away?
How are your kids with screening? Because like I said, I am so sick of when people because I have these arguments all the time, and they're like, Curry's the best offensive player ever. I go, man, Jokic, I think, is the best offensive player I've ever seen. And they go, no, first off, they say that wrong. I'm so sick and tired of listening. His gravity, it's his gravitational pull. It's not his gravity. It'd be his gravitational pull is what it would be. But anyways, if we're talking about that, Jokic has got the same, I believe, and maybe not as good as Curry, but his passing, I have never seen teams be more discombobulated. They don't know if they want to play the shot or they play the pass, and they just get stuck in the middle and doing nothing, doing absolutely nothing. And then, but what they don't factor in, where I have Jokic, is his screening is so much better and his offensive rebounding is so much better. And people do not factor that in when it comes to, and same thing with defense. They don't factor in defensive rebounding, and it just irritates the shit out of me. So do you teach your kids screening? Because if your team could be the best screeners, I guarantee you guys would kill.
I I can't believe I'm going to tell this story twice in one day. So last season, I tell everybody the biggest compliment I got was a ref came over to me at the end of the game, and he's after we won, and said, "You're a great coach." And I went, "I know." And then I laughed. I go, "No." I said, "No, seriously. Why do you say that?" And he said, "I've never seen a team at this age group set so many good proper screens." He goes, "I'm typically calling moving screen all day, and they just stop doing it because they all do it wrong. It's taught wrong, or it's not taught at all." And he goes, "And I've not seen," and he goes, "I've been coaching or refereeing for 20 years," and he goes, "I've never seen a team at this age group understand how to properly set a screen as well as your team. So I know that you're a good coach." And I went, "Oh, I really appreciate that." And I was like, "Oh, cool," because it's something that I focus on, maybe because I'm old school. And I'm like, dude, we can give each other, like, how easy is the game when you set a good screen and now your guy coming, especially if he's coming off the screen properly downhill, it's open layups all day. Because what do kids, especially even adults, what do? You set the screen, they all move to one guy. So either you're wide open for a layup, or they forget the guy who set the screen and now you're wide open for a shot or whatever. So it opens up everything you do in basketball. And I'll relate it to it's interesting that you say that, because I'll relate it to football for a second. I always get in this argument about who's the greatest running back of all time. And to my deathbed, I'll say it's Walter Payton. And everyone says, why? And I say, one, he was elite. He was an elite runner. Now, can you make arguments that Jim Brown, Barry Sanders, whoever was better? You could, but he's in that conversation. He was an elite receiver. Now, could you make an argument that LaDainian Tomlinson or whoever was a better receiver out of the backfield? Sure, but especially in an era that didn't typically do that, he was elite. So he's in that conversation. You know what conversation none of those guys are in? One, none of them are in both of those conversations in terms of rushing and receiving. He is. So right off the bat, he's already better. Find me a better blocker out of the backfield. He's in that conversation too. And that is also part of being a running back. He's blocking, he's protecting his quarterback. And that is like a screen. It's a thing that people don't look for, but it changes the dynamic of the game, because if your running back doesn't make that block, your quarterback is sacked, the play is over, right? If he doesn't make that block, your wide receiver who's coming on a reverse, the millions of different things that it affects, that changes the game. So I say he's the only one that's in the conversation for best runner, best receiver, and best blocker out of that position. Oh, by the way, he also threw a few touchdowns on option plays too to throw it in. So I say, find me a guy who's better at every aspect in the backfield. No one can do it, but they'll still say, I still got Jim Brown, I still got Barry Sanders, whatever. Can't change people's mind, but I relate it to that. To your point, if you can do all the other things just as good or even a little bit less, but you do something better than they do, that should put you above.
Well, that's why I always say, one, I like 2000 Falk, because he was a good blocker. He wasn't a great blocker, but his receiving is like the best I've ever seen from a running back, and his running is just as good, up there too. So his receiving, and to be honest with you, I think his receiving affects more than his blocking. I could be wrong. I'd have to look at the plays and all that. But Marshawn Lynch is an underrated blocker in the backfield. Marshawn Lynch used to block well.
Sure.
But it's almost like
I love Marshawn, and I said this earlier on Fluent and Chill. I'm just finishing the final season of Westworld, and I don't know if you watched that show, but Marshawn Lynch.
I watched a couple episodes. I haven't got into it.
Oh, so Marshawn Lynch comes in season 3, and he's in it. He's good. He's good. I'm like, hey, that's Marshawn Lynch. It's kind of
but that's what I would try to argue when I try to tell people, like, you have no idea how good Steven Adams is offensively. And I was like, because you don't look at the whole fucking picture, how much better his team is when he is on the floor with them and his offense, his rim running, his offensive rim, and like they just don't give him opportunities. And I'm not saying he could, but he could probably be a 16-point a game guy with the right opportunity, with good efficiency.
No,
you know what I mean? I think it's better than 12.
Everyone that's in the NBA, right? I wish people would actually learn basketball. Everyone who's in the NBA can do way more than they do. But their job and the way that they're going to either be a starter, get minutes, get paid, whatever motivates them, is to do what they're asked to do. Mm-hmm. And I remember a guy I went to high school with. I want to say I was a freshman, and he was he had graduated the year before, so he would have been a senior the year before I went into my freshman year. He goes and he's playing at Michigan. So every year, our teams would go into Detroit and play a tournament. That was kind of like a kickoff tournament every season. So I'm a freshman now, and we're like, hey, we're going to go watch Michigan play a game because this guy who used to be on our, played for our high school, he's an alum. He's playing. And we heard stories about him. What a great shooter he was. His ball handling for a big man, especially, could do everything. Da 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 da. And so we sat there. Now he's a freshman, keep in mind. And we sat there and watched him play 22 minutes, set about 100 screens, and take 2 shots. And I'm like, what the hell did we just watch? Because it was like, well, everybody was the best player at their high school, right? Who's now starting on a university college team. His role, if he wanted minutes as a freshman, which is hard, was to go out there, use that big body and set screens. And, maybe down the road, later in the season, next year, whatever, he'll get opportunities to shoot and do the other things he can do. But that's what they needed him to do to be successful. So that's what he did. And, much like Steven Adams, he could probably, like you said, average 15, probably even more points per game. But they need.
I don't know how good the efficiency is, though, from what I've seen. And maybe he could, but I'm just saying, I'm very confident saying he is a 15 to 17 point guy with good efficiency. I'm very confident in saying that.
Dennis Rodman could score in college and shoot. Patrick Beverly, I think, was averaging like 40 points a game
In high school or something like that.
So, right, yeah. It's not that he forgot how to do it. It's he needed to do something different to be in the league. So that's what you got to do.
It's weird that people don't, because I'm going to put it this way. As far as organized basketball goes, I never played past the 8th grade. That's as high as I went. I grew up with, crackhead parents, poor environments. I had to work, from the time I was in 9th grade. If I wanted clothes, buy my own stuff, I had to work. I couldn't, play ball or whatever. And I'm a 5'9" white post player. You know what I mean? So there wasn't nobody like, hey, let me teach you basketball or anything like that. And but my postie is like, I'll put it
big market for 5'9" post guys.
No, there isn't. But that's why I love post play. Like when people go like, why, like Larry Johnson's my favorite player. Why? He's a short post up player. That is what I enjoy. I enjoy watching that because people don't understand. I enjoy watching that. I enjoy somebody working on the block, working their man down, and getting high efficient shots. I enjoy watching that. And what I'm saying is,
have you watched Chilltown's? Have you watched Chilltown's highlights?
No.
You should look up Utah State, Jermaine Woolman, 6 foot. He says 3, but I'm 6'3". He's 6'4". As much as he was great in transition and some other things, we had, I'm going to forget his name now, but an NBA player that he went to high school with. I'm drawing a blank on his name, unfortunately. And he would say, growing up in Jersey, playing against him, he was shorter than everybody else, 6'4", right? And he was posting everybody up. Mm-hmm. He would just post them up. He was like Baby Jordan. He's like fade away, turn around, drop step. Like
Dantley was a 6'3" post player.
There you go. Yeah, that was his game. So yeah.
Well, that's like my post. Like I'll put it this way: like you guys couldn't post me up. You could shoot over me. You know what I mean? But you're not going to back me down. My postie is nasty. Matter of fact, when I was playing Isaiah Ryder, he tried to half-ass post me up. And he missed, you know what I mean? And then he came at me. And I'm like, I'm looking like, Dale Davis in the 2000 finals just bouncing off him. You know what I mean? And at the time, I'm like 205 at 10%, body just swole, you know what I mean? And he's moving. He's like 260, just moving me. So yeah, I'm like, my postie is nasty. But the point that I'm trying to make is like, I had all these things, huh?
I have no interest in the post. I love
the post. I love the post. That's what I like. Like anytime I'm playing, I'm like, hey bro, you like to bang? He's like, yeah. I'm like, man, let's go, man, me and you. So anyways, the point that I'm making is that like I didn't have any organized ball, I didn't have any study and all of that. I learned the game. Why can't other people?
Listen, I always say this, and I just had this conversation with J2 on the previous episode. I hate when people say you had to play to understand basketball. You don't. Now
I know firsthand.
Does it give you some insight into certain things? 100%. But you don't have to play to understand the game, but you do have to put in the work and learn and watch and understand the concepts and why people do the things they do. Like someone might not understand why Steven Adams has to set screens for that team. And that just tells me they haven't done the work. Whether you played or not, you have to understand, why weren't centers shooting threes in the 80s? Well, because they would have gotten benched. That's why. It wasn't because they couldn't. It wasn't because they didn't want to. It's because if you were 7 foot and you shot a three and you weren't down in the post, you'd be sitting on the bench, so you wouldn't get any minutes. So you didn't do it, right? Coaches were getting paid more than players back then. So those are the things where it's like you have to actually forget the surface stuff and the narrative stuff. You really have to dive deeper if you really want to understand it. But I don't think people do. Like, you put in the work, but you wanted to. Other people don't. It's easier just to regurgitate what they've heard from someone else.
Well, it's like, have I ever told you the Cotton Fitzsimmons stories? What he said, like, he even told me this as well. So Cotton Fitzsimmons, for those that don't know, he had like 832 wins. I think he retired when he retired, he was in the top 10 in wins at the time. He was coach of the year, all that. Anyways, his advice to players back in the day was, don't shoot the three, take a step in and get a higher percentage shot. So I don't know what the percentage is, but now, you're shooting 33 from three. You take a step in, you're shooting 35 from two. So now over 100 possessions, you lose 30 points. But that's how they thought. And I mean, not to say it's wrong, but the closer the shot, the better it is. And, but it just did not change for the percentage in which it went in to enough to go up to take the shot.
Yeah. Now the theory before him was get it into the post, because that's 45%, 50%. It's higher the closer you get. But the other aspect, when you say that, take the step in and it goes from 30, that's what's made the mid-range inefficient, kind of, because if you also look, only 1% of threes get fouled, 16% of twos get fouled. So if you then incorporate in one what fouls do to the other team, because if they get in foul trouble and blah blah blah, plus the free throw, actually, it is a good strategy. Now, an uncontested mid-range shot where you're not going to get fouled versus an uncontested three, I'm shooting the three. That makes way more sense. But if you're getting into the paint, that's way better than 10 threes. But that's a different conversation for another day.
I think this, if you're effective from the mid-range, shoot the mid-range. I don't care what you are, as long as it goes. That's my argument always with basketball. I don't care how it looks. I just want it to go in. I don't care if you have one move, and it can be, if you have a deep bag and you shoot 38% and score 22 points versus someone that has one move and they and they get 28 points on 56%. I don't care. You're the better player.
100%. And I even say, look at it. Also depends on the game flow. Look at Jamal Murray. I want to say last year, I want to say the first round, the game that he brought them out. I think it was against the Lakers, where we thought they were done. He couldn't hit anything. He was missing three after three after three. Do you know what he did in the fourth quarter? Took a step in, started shooting mid-range. You know what he did? Made every single one. Then he got hot. Then it's easier to shoot from further away. That's why I tell everybody, your first shot shouldn't be a three. Go get a layup. Because the second you make one, the basket, every time you make a basket, it's the stupidest thing, but it's true. The basket always gets bigger every time you make a bucket. So go get some easy ones and let the basket grow and then start shooting. But
well, you know what drill Dennis Scott taught me, and I do this every time before I hit the court? Go right under the hoop and just shoot the ball, right? I'm talking like a foot in front of the hoop, right? Because then it's all form and touch. Huh?
That's hilarious. Tony Delk told me to do that with every single one of my kids when I like to coach. Like, first thing he said, get all of them. 5 from the right side, just back it in. 5 from right in front, back it in, and then 5 from the left. Get it in and get them in, and then start to do everything else. Because if you get used to the ball going in.
Right. Well, he didn't tell me what he said. What he told me is, okay, so you do it, but you don't leave until you make 10 in a row. And I'm going to be honest with you. And as I practice more, I can get pretty quick, but you'll be amazed how many times it'll take you that you have to start over to get 10 in a row from a foot away. And then it's all touch and form at that point. No power, no push, no nothing, just touch and form. And then you go out and you start shooting threes, start shooting 20-footer because you got your touch and your form right. You're in a rhythm now. And that's when you start shooting it all. So anytime I go to the gym by myself, very first thing I do is I do that. And then I take my left hand, and then I dribble all around the lines on the court, just back and forth, back and forth. And then that's when I start shooting and all that. And those are like my 2 little warm-up drills.
Do you ever wonder where the layup line came from?
No, I've never wondered where the layup. I'll put it this way. It seems so blatantly obvious to me. Like, everybody on this team, no matter how shitty you are offensively, everybody should be able to make a layup.
And
we need
right? Everybody should already know how to make a layup. Yet every single time you see every team at every level the first thing they do, right, is after they've come onto the court and do it, is
Yeah.
they get a layup line. It's because even the most basic of coaches understands get the legs moving, start making the easiest shot in the game, which is a wide open, uncontested layup before you start doing any shots. So you go through that layup line and you're making 5, 10, whatever, depending on how much time you, because they understand you're getting into that flow, that rhythm of the ball going in, because everyone's making the layups. And that's why when I see people trying to do fancy stuff and trying to dunk and da-da-da, I'm like, you're defeating the purpose of what this is for. It isn't for you to learn how to do a layup. It's to get you used to the ball going in, because it opens up everything else you do outside of that. And now it's great for the fans to see guys, but it really defeats the purpose. But listen, I've taken up too much time. Great interview, by the way, with Rudy T.
Hey, you heard him. I'm observant.
You are observant. Did I send you that? I sent you that, right?
No, I sent you a clip of that, but yeah. I want to get Chill on, because there's one thing I do want to argue about Chill. Me and Chill, I wasn't done. We were on live one day. But yeah, he's telling me Pippen is a top 20 dude. So, I mean, I got to get him on for that. Like,
top 20 what?
Player of all time.
Player of the 90s?
No, the player all time.
Get out of here.
I'm telling you, man, we got to bang it out about that one.
That's his LeBron agenda. He's paid by Clutch Sports. All right. Great job, man.
Yep.
Oh, do we have to go like 0 to 10,000 or 2,000?
Oh, yeah. We got to go 0 to, I think it's 200, but hold on. Where are we at? Yeah. I don't even know where we're at. There we go.
It's catchy.
What, 0 to 200?
Yeah, I like it.
Well, his flow's fucking awesome. Ain't it, white boy?
Finish, please don't make me laugh with that half-ass gimmick. I'm about to get mine and it's about time. Call us Grindhouse, everybody in a house grind. I'm just doing me, I ain't trying to outshine. Trying to kill my vibe is how you get outlined. I don't do it for the views and the likes, boy. I'm just giving you what I wrote last night, boy. I don't care if it isn't what you like, boy. My flow is fucking awesome, ain't it, white boy?
Ain't it?
I need more of that. It is. All right, brother.
All right, we're being back. We are moving. We will not be back next Tuesday. We have to move the show. I don't have the exact day for you, but I will have Fluent over here posted on all his social media to let you know when that is. Until then, we'll check y'all next week.